This is Talk is Sheep, a podcast by the Wild Sheep Society of British Columbia. Come along as we take conversations that matter to you into the high alpine.
Well, good day, Greg. Here we are, Talk is Sheep, episode number 109, and we're at the Super Bowl of frickin' wild sheep, like Sheep Week. Amazing, eh?
Yeah, that was it was good to be back in person and have the full show. And last year was a little bit watered down, and the year before that was canceled. So it's good to see all those faces and let loose a little bit for a week.
Well, lots of energy too, right? And everything's buzzing, the floor is buzzing, and really cool that we're actually able to record these ones at Sheep Week in person. And this is a first for us; we've never done it before, so. Look for some feedback on that from our listeners. If it's good, bad, or indifferent, and if it's good, we'll try and do more of it. And if it's bad, well, probably won't do it anymore.
Yeah, you got 4 bad ones to listen to. So.
Yeah, pretty cool. It was fun doing a Sheep Week. There's just so much energy, and people were coming by checking it out, and we were recording, and yeah, it was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing it. So
yeah, definitely added a little bit of flavor to things, and hopefully the noise in the background's not too bad and people can feel the energy that we were living.
Yeah, and what a good show. I think massive records broken on a lot of stuff. These tags have been going at all-time highs, a number of them. What'd the BC tag end up going for, Greg?
It was 270,000. So what's that?
Wow.
It's like 360 Canadian. It was a good chunk of change.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It wasn't a record, but it wasn't far off it. And we seen Alberta break their record. They blew it out of the water there. And they had their Minister of Forestry down there. And really cool that he was there to promote it. And they did a thing where you could shoot a ram 365 days a year. You can shoot, basically, it was an unlimited number of days you could shoot it for a year.
Yeah, and even in their, I guess they have some bow-only zones, and you can use a rifle there if you wanted to as well. So it just added to the price for them. I did phenomenal.
Yeah, so good to see that people are thinking outside the box, and there's governments out there that are trying to do the right thing and raise some money for wildlife and conservation. And yeah, so just a great Sheep Week, lots of great memories, great vibes, and this was a great podcast. I think you were tied up for this one. No, were you on this one with?
I was on with Glenn. Yep.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, so. Like I said, we did 4 of them, and I know you were busy throughout the show, and we only had so many headsets too, so there was the one you unfortunately had to sit out. But what a great guy, Glen Landrus. Glenn is the chairman of the Wild Sheep Foundation. He sits on their board of directors. He's at the helm of the ship there, and Wild Sheep Foundation is just doing fantastic work in the conservation world.
Yeah, I think we helped him out a bit, gave him a little bit of break to come on the podcast, take a step back for an hour from all his duties while he's down there. Seemed happy.
Yeah, he did. And he got to sit down and talk about the work that the foundation's doing. And, some really big projects out there. British Columbia has benefited greatly from the work the foundation's done, and so has many other jurisdictions with wild sheep. But their grant aid process, there was $250,000 US they approved for Northern Burns, and then a further $100,000 that they approved for 3 other separate projects: our Fraser River project, Kamloops Lake, as well as $10,000 for the BC Sheep Summit. So just fantastic support from the foundation. We've worked closely with them for years, and just grateful for that relationship. But we were benefactors, but a bunch of others too. I think they said $1.25 million in grant aid funding for conservation projects, 15 separate projects across the landscape, and phenomenal work. And that's just one of their buckets. They have a whole bunch of other buckets too that they fund. Previously, they were saying $6 million a year for grants and for these sheep tags and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I think that number is going north this year with all the great work that fundraising that was being done.
Yeah, should be some extra cash flowing around after all the record breaking this past week.
Yeah, pretty cool. So, what do we got on the book? So I guess my thoughts are, if you've never been to Sheep Week, go to Sheep Week. If you want to taste the Sheep Week, come check out our 2 fundraisers. We've got our Northern on February 3rd, 4th, Kamloops March 10th and 11th. What was your first Kamloops show like? And I've heard you talk about it, and you speak pretty highly of it. So
It was amazing. That's kind of why I'm here. Kamloops sucked me into the sheep world, and even if you're not into sheep hunting, you're not going to get a room full of better people. Like, you got to go experience it, learn something, don't learn something, meet new friends. Like, it's the place to be. I think I can't say enough good things about it. I tell everybody they need to go. I'll buy people tickets, but got to go.
Yeah, right on. So we do have tickets available for both our fundraisers still. We're doing a cool new thing for our Northern fundraiser. We have the Friday night kickoff party. Frontiersman gear, you heard from Tanner on the last podcast with us. We've got that event going on. So they're going to premiere their new film, Through Our Eyes. It's a conservation film about caribou. But that Friday night kickoff party is going to be a blast. The Northern is just off the charts. And now we've added another Friday night, which is going to be a lot of fun. I think people are really going to enjoy it. We got backpack races. We've got, with your ticket, you get an appy and some drinks and a whole bunch of raffles, giveaways, just you name it. So we got a great night in store for you. Thanks to Frontiersman Gear for sponsoring that. And if you need some tickets, head over to wildsheepsociety.com and you can go to either our events part and go to Kamloops Convention Northern Fundraiser and get some tickets while they last. I think we're cutting off ticket sales here in about 3 or 4 days. So for the Northern Fundraiser. So don't mess around. Anything else, buddy?
No, I think that covers her off pretty good.
So with that, we're going to hear from. What do we say? Ram Slam. What's his handle on Insta there?
Yeah, Ram Slam 1052, I believe.
There you go. And that's probably the number, what slam he was. I never asked him that, but that's probably the truth. I know Glen's got a couple of FNAWS, or one FNAWS we talk about on the podcast. So Ram Slam 1052. Glen Landrus, Chair of the Wild Sheep Foundation. And yours truly, Kyle Stelter, Greg Rensmeg, Talk is Sheep, episode 109. Enjoy.
Across Canada and throughout the world, if you come across a campfire in the woods, on a mountaintop, or next to a river, you'll find warm company and friendly people gathered around. Regardless of your lifestyle or place you call home, we invite you to learn more about what it means to be a hunter in the modern era. If you love the outdoors, care about where your food comes from, and are concerned for the future of wildlife and the environments that they need to survive, pull up a seat. We have a story to tell. Welcome to our campfire.
Here we are. We're sitting at the Wild Sheep Society BC booth at Sheep Week 2023 with the man, Ram Slam 1052. We got Glen Landrus, Chair of the Wild Sheep Foundation, with us. Thanks, Glen.
Hey, you bet. Good to see you.
Great to have you. Got Greg Rensmeg, our secretary, co-hosting today. So, hey, man, Sheep Week is buzzing. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's, we're sitting here a Friday morning. We've ramped up this week. We're really looking for some big crowds. All of our pre-registrations going to be setting a record. Our donation value is going to be setting a record. And, we're looking at some amazing auctions tonight. Friday night, Saturday night's the big ones, right? Get some big tags going, and we're going to raise a bunch of money this week for wild sheep.
So we sat in a board meeting Tuesday, and then we had the membership meeting today. And our president and CEO, Gray Thornton, was talking some big numbers. Records across the board, it sounds like, on everything, eh?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, the Thursday night dinner, conservation night, that's bigger than what Saturday night used to be, right? I mean, so, yeah, it's really exciting, and we're going to see how it plays out. But, I mean, the crowds, we're still fighting a little bit of weather, some airline issues that might keep people away, but everybody here, I think, is fired up and ready to get after it.
Well, there's lots of energy on the floor, and I guess, to be honest, kind of take away the pandemic word, it was a little bit weird that, around that, but aside from that, there's just always this energy on the floor, and it's back. It's you can feel it here, I think. So
yeah, there's a nice lineup of people waiting to get in this morning, which is good to see for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I just came by registration, and both of the lines just for the day passes are way out, into the foyer there. So it's going to be big, man. It's going to be big.
Well, you talked about the Thursday night being bigger than what our Saturday used to be. It might have been because of the MC last night. That might have been one of the factors. I don't know. But.
Well, that's what I'm going to attest it to for sure. Yeah, I mean, we just had amazing guy at the mic last night. But actually, is there I know you're up tonight for Friday night, MCing, Legacy night. but conservation night. I mean, there's not a better night to stand up there and talk about what we're doing and talk about what we need to do. And we have a lot of work in front of us, working with our chapters and affiliates as well. But yeah, there's just a lot of work to be done to benefit wild sheep and our mission.
Shoot, man, I was thinking this, like, we'll keep this nice and short, but you start talking and like, yeah, we got to talk about the conservation work. We got to talk about what's happening here this week. There's so many things we got to talk about. But I guess, well, and, you know, you're the chair of the Life Member Breakfast. Life Member Breakfast is bigger than what Saturday used to be. That thing, that's one of our biggest success stories, I think, isn't it?
Well, I think it is. And even though I've been chair of it for the last 5 years or so, I mean, really, the credit to that comes to the board before us and getting La Pomosa and Emilio Rangel to donate that La Pomosa desert hunt. Got to be in the room. You know, the Life Member Breakfast used to be 225 people. I mean, I'll be honest, I never went to it until they started giving away sheep hunts. So, you know, the extrinsic reward of having a chance to win a sheep hunt, I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm a sheep hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. We're expecting about 900 people there. Amazing keynote speaker. We have retired Colonel Charles Hartford, and he's going to talk about some prisoner of war excursions that he's had. And in addition, he's a sheep hunter. I mean, he took his first ram. It was kicked out of the Lesson 1 club with the ram he harvested this fall in the Yukon. So a hero, already a life member of Wild Sheep, and a sheep hunter. So he's going to put on an amazing presentation for us. You know, that's the one event we reach out to our membership to help underwrite. Yeah. And we have the patron sponsor program for $1,000. You can help underwrite that. Does give you another chance into that La Pomosa drawing. And we had 70 people come forward. So we had 70,000 help underwrite that event.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, it's just going to be – we have an amazing couple of raffles that we have going when people come in the door. Our hat raffles – last year, what was it, Kyle? We sold 500 hats in 18 minutes or something like that.
It was 23 minutes.
23 minutes?
Pandemonium at the front.
Yes, yeah. So we have that again. So, you know, fully donated, Sitka gear, Cryptic, Stone Glacier, Kuyu, Barney Sports Chalet. So $50 for a hat, and then it gets you into a respective $1,000 floor credit drawing when you come in the door. But, yeah, so before people even have a chance to get their bacon and eggs, you know, we've sold over $20,000 worth of hats, you know, that's going to go to our mission. So, and new this year, we're going to give away a Weatherby Thinhorn edition rifle. So $100 a ticket. We're going to sell 200 of those, another $20,000.
That's a sweet setup, man. And it's not even off the assembly line. Like whoever wins it, it's going to be the first one out there, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, really, we're going to have one there to show off, to sell tickets, but then it'll get shipped direct to them.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, cool raffle, and you know your leadership on that is really cool. And there's a bunch of Sheep Week stuff I probably want to touch on, but let's talk about you. You've come to the helm now. You've been on the board now for I think 6.5 years or 7.5.
6.5, yes.
Yeah. So, and I came on the board, and you've kind of mentored me. I've learned so many things from you. I don't want to go too deep in the weeds, but you know, just a ton of respect, Glenn. But your leadership, you know, you came on as chair this year, and you know, you got a lot of vision, a lot of energy, and it's pretty exciting. So let's talk about some of the things you're talking about. I get inspired. I was inspired this morning when you did your speech again. So,
well, thank you. I mean, I think there's a lot of synergy going on right now within our board. We have a diversified group that's just got a lot of experience, a lot of chapter and affiliate experience, and so with that, you know, in my time on the board, you know, there's always some ups and downs and some challenges with that. But it just seems like we're in a position now where, you know, it's time to focus on the mission. And I'd say a lot, we need to get out of our own way. Sometimes we get in our own way. But we just have amazing membership growth, our donors, our exhibitors, our partners in chapters and affiliates, state agencies, et cetera. There's no excuse, right? I mean, we're really proud of what we do, but at the same time, we have a lot of work in front of us. And so, you know, let's raise some money. And as I said last night, you know, the Sheep Week doesn't end Saturday night. It really begins. Our work begins after this Sheep Week is over with, and we can really start focusing on our next grant and aid cycle and mission funding. So,
right on. So with the foundation, with the boards, when I've been involved with different not-for-profits, you get a new chairman and there's kind of a change in direction, or they put their stamp on things, right? Not, obviously don't take the organization in a totally different direction. So, you've mentioned some of the stuff that's front of mind for you. What are some of those things for our listeners that you could share with us?
Yeah, you bet. First and foremost, we have to do a better job telling our story. I mean, if people don't know, if our members or the public, if they don't know where we're spending their money, that's on us. It's not on them. We have to tell our message better. We have to have better messaging across all platforms. And when we do a better job of that, and I'm going to pat you guys on the back, Wild Sheep Society BC, I think you guys do a tremendous job. And then, that just snowballs. You're going to get more support. So telling our story better, figuring out better ways to do that, and like I said, across all platforms, and that makes everybody's job easier. I'll use the example we were just talking about, patron sponsors for the Life Member Breakfast. If we can show our membership and, potential membership what that $1,000 can do, why can't we have 100 patron sponsors, right?
Yeah.
So we have to tell our story. I think, just thinking big, let's look out on the horizon. I like to talk about, get to that 30,000 foot view, figure out where we need to go, and then what it's going to take to get there, and then just make it happen. I mean, I'm an action oriented kind of guy. I probably would make a terrible biologist because, there's a place for studies, but then there's a time for action, and so we're excited about that. So
awesome.
I think that's my top priority that I talk a lot about.
Right on. So you've kind of had a mantra or a slogan or a saying that you've been using when you came on as chair. So you share that with us today, or are you going to be PG?
Oh, no. Do we have the beep ready so you can beep over?
You're good here. We'll put the explicit little checkbox on.
That's great. Yes, do epic shit.
Right on.
Do epic shit. There's just so many opportunities, so many fronts, and we can find reasons not to do something. And it's actually a phrase I use with my students back home is you either make excuses or you make it happen. It's up to you. So no excuses. Let's figure out what the problem is and figure out a solution and do epic shit for Wild Sheep.
Awesome. Yeah, inspiring, man. So on that vein, there's been some changes in our grant aid process. And, I'm hearing you say those words, and then I hear a guy like Gray Thornton, our CEO and president, he starts saying stuff like that, he does the do epic shit thing, but he also is talking about thinking big and being bold. So there's been a change in how we do our grant aid stuff. So can you talk a little bit about what's different, how that's going to benefit Wild Sheep, why it's a better program?
Yeah, you bet. Well, our grant and aid cycle essentially begins July 1. And our emphasis this last year and the change that you're talking about is we're seeking bigger projects, more partners, and from the $50,000 up to the legacy projects funding that's maybe $250,000 or more. So that's what our emphasis is. And, it really started with Gray just asking chapters and affiliates, what do you need? If money was no object, what would you like to do? I'm a little embarrassed that it was in 2022 before that question was asked, and maybe not 2010 or 2000 or 1990 or something, but the response has been fantastic. And our chapters and affiliates, and as Gray has said, like they're the boots on the ground, right? Wild Sheep Foundation doesn't have a state, right? Obviously we're based in Montana, but still we rely on our local chapters and affiliates to be developing relationships with their game agencies so that they can be active in terms of pursuing projects, et cetera. So let's be proactive. Let's not just sit back and wait. Let's get out and ask, what would you do if you had, if money was no object? And the results have been fantastic. We had requests, I believe it was just over 1.8 million in requests in 2022. We funded 1.22. We just added, that's a little bit bigger, we just added $25,000 at our board meeting on Tuesday, approving $25,000 in a matching funding with Yukon Outfitters Association for wolf harvest. So, but yeah, let's just be proactive. and get those big projects. Then maybe some of the smaller ones we'll kick back to a chapter and affiliate that's looking for something that's maybe more in their price range, and then we can take, a commitment like we did it in Nebraska. We took $50,000 seed money to help with their trap and transplant and test and remove. And, we challenge our chapters and affiliates, and we turn that into $160,000. Yeah. And, I mean, that's meaningful money. And you're going to get some stuff done with that. So, so anyway, we're excited. We'll see what year 2 brings. I really think this thing is going to snowball, and I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on our board of directors and staff to make sure that we're coming out of Sheep Week with our wallet full of money, ready to spend and support the agencies and the chapters and affiliates that are out there doing the work.
Awesome. Yeah, really inspiring. And, I'm really excited about this new direction. So you talked about these bigger projects, these legacy projects. What are some of the examples? Where's this money going? Who are we working with? What does that look like for Wild Sheep, and where's that money going?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, the $1.22 million is actually would be 15 different projects. So, I mean, that, do some basic math. We're averaging, that's about $100,000 a pop. Mm-hmm. But, they're in U.S., Canada, and Mexico. I mean, just a few. We're going to ship $250,000 up to you guys in BC to do a big burn. Just over $250,000 for that. I think we're on the hook for $100,000 to support the additional years of your Fraser River project. So there's $350,000 going up to our friends in BC.
That's phenomenal. Gray's talked about this in the past. More money's gone to BC than any other jurisdiction in the world. Over the years, right? And phenomenal support, and it's incredible. And there's tons of worthy projects, and it's phenomenal that the support there. But I know one you're passionate about is this ION initiative. So tell me a little bit more about that one.
Yeah, that's a new initiative we have with Idaho, Nevada, and Oregon. They share some California bighorn herds along their borders, and they're not doing very well. And so, I really think it's a reflection of the success of the Hell's Canyon initiative with Idaho, Oregon, and Washington, and what's been going on there for about 27, 28 years. And so now they're bringing the players together in that California bighorn area to get some projects done and lined out. I think they're going to start with some captures and get some radio collars out there so they can figure out exactly what the population is. They'll do some sampling for disease, etc. But just a great example of what collaboration and relationships can do to benefit wild sheep. If those 3 states have been managing their herds really independently and just have been kind of spinning their wheels. So now they come together, and I know they had a big meeting here this week. I wasn't able to attend, but another exciting example of what we can do if we collaborate.
Yeah. So, my understanding is you cut your teeth in the not-for-profit world through Washington Wild Sheep, right? That was your first not-for-profit gig, right? And,
right.
Rose to the ranks, president, and then came to national. And so that Hell's Canyon is that's a passionate project, and you were probably involved in that in the early days, I would imagine, eh?
Yeah, still am. And we meet twice a year, and I'm either in on Zoom or if I can make it in person to do that. But yeah, I've been involved with that. I drew a bighorn tag in Washington State in 1995, and so that's really when FNAWS came into my world. And a few months after I harvested my ram, we had an all-age die-off. And so then, that issue, I learned a lot about that issue. But I've had students on probably a half a dozen captures.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, right where the school I teach at's right on the Snake River. So, you could go to our baseball field, what was that, 2 weeks ago, and watch a helicopter net gun and sheep.
That's cool.
It's just a great way to get involved. And again, you have the state agencies, you have the federal agencies, the land, U.S. Forest Service, BLM, et cetera, and then tribes. And you have them all at the table, and they've, it's been just unbelievably successful. And it's reflective in those populations now. I mean, about 2 years ago, it took 25 years. So as of about 2 years ago, Hell's Canyon is MOV free, not by an accident. A lot of money and a lot of hard work put into that.
So that was on the backs of test and remove mainly, or was there other stuff they were doing there to deal with the disease issue? How did they get around that?
Yeah, the test and remove. So that's where I don't know if there was other research entities that I'm sure were doing things as well, but they picked a few herds as their controls, and then and a couple other herds where they went in and they captured those ewes, I think 3 times over 2 years, and if they were positive twice, they were removed. And they're not always successful, and I think you're seeing that, right? You've had some ups and downs with the Fraser River, but all in all, I mean, if you keep modifying and adapting and being better at that, I think the overall success of it is going to be amazing. So when we're seeing that, our lamb survival in the meeting that we were at last month, the lamb survival in the Hell's Canyon herds up north. There's still one down south that's separate, but that's not doing well. But everything up north is just off the charts. And if you have good lamb survival, I mean, it's amazing that your population might double in 5-6 years if you can have 50%, 60% lamb survival through the winter. So that's pretty precipitous climb, and all of a sudden there's a lot more sheep out there and a lot more hunting opportunities as well.
Well, it must be inspiring for you. Greg's been involved with the Fraser River Project. He heads up our lamb counts every year and every spring. And, the thought of the Fraser River coming back to 2,500 or 3,000 sheep or whatever from the 800 now, or what it was a few years ago, pretty exciting, eh?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely, getting out there, doing the counts, and then people get excited when they see a big ram. Well, now you see the lambs after the winter, and that's where we're getting excited. We're starting to see good recruitment numbers in some areas, and we're going to continue doing that work. We'll be capturing sometime within the next month here. We'll be back up there with a drop net and volunteer opportunity for folks to get their hands on some sheep. So it's exciting to keep moving forward with that project, and we truly appreciate all the funding you guys have been giving to us for it. It makes our lives a little bit easier, and we can just get our hands on the boots on the ground and get our hands on sheep. And
yeah, I think that's great, and you're welcome. And you were talking about the money going to BC, and again, to compliment Wild Sheep Society of BC and your work, you're putting some pressure on us.
Right,
we got to open up our wallet, and I'm really impressed with what you guys do on all fronts. You're engaged politically, you're engaged, and we're talking about habitat, we're talking about disease, burns, predator. It takes all of that, right? Mm-hmm. There's no silver bullet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said. Yeah, we've been talking a little bit about that lately too, for sure. I was going to ask you about. Interesting. I was talking to the Wild Sheep Foundation Secretary Larry Jacobs, and he said they're doing so well in Hell's Canyon now. They want to start sending sheep up north, and he talked to us and said, are there opportunities up there? Because they've been so successful with the test and remove that now they're looking at maybe having to do some ewe hunts and stuff, and they might as well start moving sheep around if we can do it, right? So, I don't know how that's going to work out for us. We in BC have sent sheep all down the west coast of the U.S., right, to multiple states. So, and now we're the ones hurting. So it's typical of our wild sheep family. We are a family, right? We're just always supporting each other, and this is just another classic example.
Well, I would be thrilled to send some sheep back to British Columbia. As you said, you've sent them all over the western U.S., including Washington State. And in fact, the town where I live in, that herd that's right there, the state had done a couple of small transplants, say in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, that really didn't go anywhere. But in 1997, we got 11 or 12 sheep from Spence's Bridge. And that's when that herd took off. And, that I had students on that release. That was pretty cool way back when. And that herd took off, did really well, ended up, with a little MOV here within the last 6 or 7 years. So we don't have it open for hunting, but I don't know, 2012, 2010, our state record was taken out of there. And again, that came from the catalyst there was Spence's Bridge. So thank you, British Columbia, and we'd love to pay it back.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to segue just for a minute. I wasn't going to do this till the end, but so Washington's killing some giant sheep these days. Like new state record 3 years ago. 3 years ago?
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
2020.
And Bailey and Landrus, your guide outfitting company's been a big part of that. You guys, I think, have been guiding these giants. So let's talk about the quality of sheep that you guys are growing in Washington State right now.
Yeah, you bet. And it's reflective on the health and improvement of herd health, throughout our state. We have some issues with our California bighorns that we're trying to clean up, and one of the projects that WSF is funding is some test to remove in the central part of the state. But yeah, as a side gig, I make my house payment with a teaching job, but Brian Bailey and I, we have our own guiding business, and we had some great clients this year. A couple of really nice California bighorns, one grossed 175. The archery one hasn't been officially scored yet, but it'll be 173, 174.
Wow.
Just a tremendous ram. Both of those old rams. One of them was 10 and one of them was 11.
Wow.
So
awesome.
It's pretty awesome. And our hunter, he told us that he harvested the third biggest ram from the group, but it was an 11-year-old.
Wow.
He's like, the biggest one was a younger one. He said, I couldn't shoot it. I want the 11-year-old.
Hats off to that gentleman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's hard to do, man. Like
yeah.
that. Yeah, but huge. Hopefully he goes back and gets an opportunity next year.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we'll see tonight.
Yeah.
He'll have another chance at the tag tonight.
Oh, is he in the building bidding on the tag tonight? Oh,
yeah.
awesome.
So, and then we had we have limited Rocky Mountain Bighorn opportunities, but we have a Washington State Rocky Mountain Bighorn raffle, and we had that hunter this year, and that's one that we hunt out of my house there. I live in the southeastern corner of the state where they are, and that was a really special hunt. I've been fortunate to be on some amazing hunts, but this gentleman had never hunted sheep before, and got into the application game maybe 3 years ago, and I would say he's probably my age, around 50 or so. And so, man, about you British Columbia guys really can't relate to this, but when you start into the sheep world applying at age 50,
it's a tough go.
Yeah. That's going to be a tough one. But anyway, you have your name in the hat, and he draws it. And the cool thing is the first day that I talked to him, he won it that morning and then called me that evening. And in that span, he'd already mailed a check to Washington Wild Sheep to join as a life member.
Awesome.
And he'd went on WSF's website and joined as a life member of WSF as well. So
beautiful.
I brought a buddy out with him, and we waited and did that hunt in the rut. And we had a ram that we've been watching grow up, and we turned him up. And once Ryan saw that one, we had to turn his ammo back over to him. So we had to hide it for a few days, because every good ram we looked at, he was like, "Oh, that one will work. That one will work. Nope. We gotta find another one." So, yeah. So anyway, we just had that ram officially scored last week. Grossed 185 and 5/8 and netted 184 and 6.
It's a giant. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, good one.
So what's the state record? What did that one end up scoring?
It netted 202 and 4/8.
Wow.
Official, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you credit it to? Like, obviously healthy herds, disease, you guys have sorted that out. And has there been habitat work, like a lot of good forage for them? What's the key takeaway?
I think that's it. There's been nothing intentional for habitat work, but the canyon was really emptied out in 1995, 96, 97. So habitat forage has been way underutilized. And so now that we have some lambs that are surviving, they've got just amazing feed. And typically mild winters, they can usually get a bite of green grass, 355 days out of the year.
That helps.
That helps, yeah. So, yeah. And we've got just some tremendous rams coming up. We don't have a lot of older class rams, because it just seems like, on the heels of this test and remove, things are really starting to snowball in terms of lamb survival, and so lots of 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old rams. So it's exciting. We're hoping to add some more draw tags, and
nice.
I spoke a lot with the gentleman that drew one of our draw tags. He's 79 years old, been applying in Washington for 36 years or something. And he took a great 9-year-old ram this fall as well. So,
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, we had that membership meeting this morning, and it was interesting. I think it was Terry Myers from Colorado stood up and talked about some of the work they're doing there, and they're seeing huge recruitment. Now there's more sheep tags out there, and so the work we're doing in these different areas. And Wild Sheep Foundation, chapter and affiliates, it's making a difference, and it's creating new opportunities for new hunters, and pretty exciting and inspiring work, really.
Yeah, absolutely. That was great. And we had a few other reports from other chapters and affiliates. And the nice thing was the spontaneous cheer when they finished their report. I mean, we're all rooting for each other.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm probably never going to hunt sheep in Colorado.
Yeah.
But it's just so exciting. And, again, that's just the strength of our chapters and affiliates.
Yeah, great collaboration. And, yeah, truly the whole family thing we always talk about. But I feel it's pretty real, and I've never felt that with any other organization I've been a part of. And like Craig was talking about that on the podcast yesterday. He's like, yeah, once I showed up in the sheep world, it was like, okay, this is home. This is where I want to be, right?
Yeah.
So
it's neat being a part. You talk to all these folks in the show right now, and it's hard to find someone that's just a life member of one chapter. Everybody seems to have 1, 2, 3, multiple chapters. There's people who are trying to be a life member of every chapter and affiliate. Like, it's an incredible feeling. It's definitely a family, big family.
Absolutely, and I want to give kudos to Gray Thornton on that. We're going to be up to what, chapter and affiliate number 14 maybe?
I should know. I'm in charge of that, but I don't know the number, to be honest with you.
I was fortunate to be at the first one.
Is that right?
Yeah, and we flew into Cody, so whatever that was, a dozen or 14 or 15 years ago, and at that meeting, and there was maybe 20 of us, and the chapter and affiliate summit looks a little bit differently. That was a lot more round table, and Gray, dropped the phrase "one tent, one campfire," and that's really where that was spawned. And you see it today. You're right. I mean, to me, life members, it's some kind of addiction, right? It's like, I've got one, I got to have a second one, and then I got to have a third and fourth, and it's great. And just to support, like, hey, what do you guys have going for raffles? When's your banquet? And we just have this contingency, right, that's moving around, supporting each other. And, I just think it's critical we keep that going. And I think the way we do that, it goes right back to my, main focus as chair, is telling our story.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if we can show off what we're doing and, share those successes and share the failures. Like I said, it's not necessarily about what we're doing, but it's about what we're not doing and what we need to do.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, it's interesting. You mentioned Nebraska, 160,000 raised there in a matter of 25 minutes, and then the previous year, and this was a big one for me, and I know you were passionate about it, but it was Nevada, and we had all these bighorns. They were desert bighorns. They were running out of water. They were dying of thirst and dehydration. What's the word? They were dying because they couldn't get water. And what did we raise there? It was like 85,000 in a matter of a few minutes, and we literally saved thousands of sheep on that.
I think the final tally on that was just over 182,000.
Oh, that's right. It was 180. That's right.
And I mean, kudos to the fraternity in Nevada and all the water work they do. And I mean, I'll never forget, Clint Bentley, who's been around this for a long, long time, standing before our group, and talking about it's literally life or death for these desert bighorn sheep and the severe drought that they've had. And, in 10 minutes we had 150,000. And then, as some representatives had to go back to their chapter and affiliate and get official support. And then we had some other come in. And, it was just inspiring. I mean, Clint stood up there. I'll never forget this because, to me, he reminds me of my grandfather, just tough as nails, probably hasn't, shed a tear his entire life. And he stood up there and watched that happen. And the tears were welling up in his eyes. And it was unbelievable. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, it's inspiring. And, we've talked about this at our board level is that, we sent money down to that. And we were the ones that didn't commit it originally because we weren't here. We couldn't get – I think that was in Lewiston, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And I'm still sick about missing that because we had the board meeting at your place, which sounds like I really missed out. But I won't go into details, Wayne. But that's I think we sent $10,000 down to it. Our mission is to look after the wild sheep of BC. But I'll tell you, if we can't look out after each other during these times of need, and because we're going to need it one day back, there's going to be something in British Columbia where we need a lot of support, and we're going to need it. We have to support these other, and it's funny. I thought we might hear something from our membership. We shared what we did, and I thought some people would say, "Why are you sending money to Nevada?" I didn't get a word back on it, which is pretty cool. People get it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say that reflects on your membership and the kind of people that you guys are getting in Wild Sheep Society BC.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure most of them are seeing that everybody's given to us as well. So it's going both ways, and it's nice to be a part of for sure.
Yeah. No, it's been good. I know you guys this last year made a couple requests, Washington Wild Sheep Foundation, with some smaller projects, and kicked right in. So.
Yeah, very cool. Really inspiring. So there was a couple things we did. The transmission film and the website. So you guys were part. Washington Wild Sheep was part of that. And then we did, this was a land acquisition in the Okanagan region. And we reached out, and Garrett and Andy jumped right on board and supported. And so really cool. But the one thing that's really inspiring to me, Glenn, is that we've had a lot of disease issues in the Okanagan region. So Thropsies and a few other things going on there. And we're seeing declines in sheep, but they're cross-border sheep with Washington State. So we've reached out to you guys, and every time we reach out, you're like, yeah, we're on board. Our state agents talk to their state agents, and they're like, we don't have capacity. This year they're telling us they have capacity, and that's really inspiring because you had 3 people at the table wanting to do something, and the other group just wasn't quite ready. They just busy with other stuff. Now they're ready. So I think some really cool things are going to come out of that.
Yeah, that's exciting. And we both have our respective fundraiser banquets in March, and so I think that's going to be a great story to share as we lead into that and generate some support.
Very cool. Okay, so the foundation does a great work of promoting youth. Dr. Ryan Brock does a fantastic job. We do a fantastic job, in my opinion, of new hunter recruitment. Less than one club is hugely successful. This year I think we're sending 7 new sheep hunters on their first sheep hunt ever. So that's pretty cool, get kicked out of that club. But this year we got a new program going on. Can you tell us a little bit about Tony's program and what's coming down the pipe on that?
Yeah, you bet. Well, one of the downsides of what's going on the last few years is just the steep escalation of hunt prices. So, hunter recruitment gets pretty difficult when a Dall sheep hunt is $35,000. So, yeah, Tony Caligiuri on our board. Again, it's that think big, be bold. So he's come up with this, what he calls the RAM layaway program, where we can get some hunters to apply, and we'll go through that application process, and then we're going to rely on the experienced sheep hunters that maybe have a little more treasure to share, and so it's kind of a cost-sharing sheep hunt. So it's going to be a way to get a first-time sheep hunter into the mountains. They're going to have some skin in the game, so it's not necessarily like less than one where they're just going to win a hunt. They're going to have a plan where we get them on a 3-year plan and 3-year savings, but we're going to get donors to help underwrite that at cost. So hopefully it'll bring it down a little bit. And we talked about it at a board meeting Tuesday, and before we left the board meeting, Tony already had his first donation check and an outfitter willing to put a hunt forward.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah. So that's the rollout is tonight. So obviously this will drop after that, but more to come on that. It's really exciting.
I think it's a great program, and the outfitters, they're seeing it too, right? These hunts are just, stone sheep hunts are going crazy, right? And they're looking at it going, oh, okay. So, having an opportunity for young people to still get involved, and it's great for everybody. Guide outfitters love it. Certainly the young hunters love it. And I know there's a lot of guys that want to keep giving back too, right? So, I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, you bet.
Epic shit.
Epic shit.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you yourself, we've talked a little bit of sheep hunting. Last time we had to get in school. There's no school bells going off, but we are live at Sheep Week, so there's some noise in the background, which is cool. We wanted to have that effect. We could have recorded this in the hotel room, but the floor is buzzing. It's fun to be here. But for you, Glenn, you've got I think you've got one FNAWS, right? And you're well on your way to a second. Where do we sit with that? What do you got left to do there?
Oh, I have a lot left to do. Yeah, no, I finished my FNAWS in 2002. It's a desert ram from New Mexico. I won the state raffle that year. That was my 4th ram. Since then, I've taken another BC stone, a couple of Fannons from the Yukon, and a Dall from the Yukon. So I've got 2 Dalls, 2 Fannons, 2 stones, 1 Rocky, 1 desert. So I don't know how that shakes out for additional FNAWS, but
I think you're pretty close, man.
Yeah, I need another bighorn and another desert would be 2.
Cool.
But yeah, the thin horns for me are so addicting. I love that country. And the first time I was on your podcast, I talked about it. Every day that I've been in British Columbia, Alaska, the Yukon hunting, I'm sitting there asking myself, saying to myself, I can't believe I'm here.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm sitting here looking at this, hunting sheep. So
yeah, that country humbles you when you're out there.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's beautiful. So I don't have a sheep hunt on the books yet, but I need to. I mean, that's critical to my weight loss program. I got to get a sheep hunt book. So I'm like, okay, now I cut a little weight, go get in shape, do a little more extra hiking. So I'm ready to do that. I just haven't decided what it's going to be.
Well, and my understanding is you just quite often you go up north, and there's a couple outfitters that you hunted with, and then you go and help them out in camp, and just to be in the mountains too, right? So any of that on the horizon? I know you're super busy as chair, right? As chairman, and I think last year you kind of wanted to do that. You were even talking about coming up to Jurassic, but you've poured your heart and soul into this position, and it shows.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, I do plan on going up to the Yukon this summer. There's some, outfit I think is going to change hands, and I said I'd come up and help mow airstrips and fix cabins. And I don't have any skills, but I'm out of school in the summer, so I got to have something. So I won't hunt this summer. I'm just going to go up and enjoy the Yukon and take my dog and go hang out up there and help him out for a few weeks. So I hope that happens. So I'll be radio silent, Mr. Vice Chair, and I'll turn the gavel over to you so you can do the dirty work while I'm gone.
Oh, cool. So changing hands of outfits. Do you want to announce it on the podcast, or should we get Wayne on to do it?
No, I'm not ready to announce it just yet. I need to make sure that they've signed on the dotted line. But it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, there's a bit of an inside story there, I think. Yeah. But anyway, cool. So for you, let's talk a little bit about your experience. You're obviously a very experienced mountain hunter. You had that first, I think it was a New Mexico bighorn that you killed on a $20 raffle tag or something like that. So talk about today. Has it changed for you? What's important to you? You as a new sheep hunter versus an older sheep hunter. Is it different for you now?
I mean, that's a tough question. That's it.
Or you still got the same drive?
I do. Yeah. I mean, there for a while, I've been able to, book a hunt and go north about every 3 years. And I'm getting a little fatigued by the draw systems, I mean, the state's really jacking up prices. And so, and I'm not being critical. They can do whatever they want. It's their, it's their management that they're working on. But at the same time, I'm like, the reality is I'm probably not going to draw, a desert tag in Arizona or Nevada or Utah or whatever, even though I've got a pile of points. So I've kind of gotten to the point where I'd rather just use that as a deposit, right? And get it. I turned 52 in November, so it's time to, the mountains aren't getting any lower or flatter or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so what's changed with me? I mean, I can't get past my love of Northern Canada. And my business partner, Brian Bailey, he's a big world sheep hunter. And I'll tell you, I was close to diversifying. He was in Pakistan with a client 3 weeks ago, and they were hunting, a number of different species. They were hunting Blandford Uriel that particular day, and a Sind ibex. I don't know if you're familiar with what a Sind ibex is. To me, they're the most beautiful ibex. And I've not hunted. I've been to Mongolia with a client, but I've never hunted ibex for myself. And so I'm texting Brian as he's hunting in Pakistan. I'm like, when you guys, hunting Sind? Well, we're going to do that next. And Brian wasn't there to hunt. And so I'm like, I would hunt Sind ibex. And he's like, well, let's do it. Let's, when we get back, let's book a hunt. Let's book a hunt at Sheep Show. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. The very next day, he sends me a picture of the client with a beautiful 46-inch Sind, and there's Brian with a beautiful 41-inch Sind, and I was like, holy cow, I can't believe, Kevin killed 2 Sind. Well, actually, so I was like, I had a trip to Pakistan planned for 18 hours, and now it's gone. So I told him I didn't want to go to Pakistan by myself. He does a lot of international travel. In fact, I always say he has to apply for a visa to come back to Washington.
I love watching Brian. I got to know him through you, and just a great guy. And his muskox hunt, I think it was a Greenland or something, and just watching him hunt this muskox, he was perched up on these rocks and just the beautiful scenery. And to watch that beast tip over. It was just, and the look on his face, and then the herd came running up towards him. He was kind of celebrating, and all of a sudden they're standing out in front of him. It was pretty cool. So
he's a great guy. I enjoy working with him. He and I have both been on the Washington board for 25 years still, and he likes the diversity of chasing different species. You might have to get him on your podcast someday to talk about that.
I'd love to, yeah.
And for me, I got stuck in northern Canada and I can't get out. And there might be a little bit of a need for a big gray sheep there that keeps me coming back for more.
Yeah. So, you look at that, like the stone sheep, and I think part of it for you is the country. I've heard you talk about that. You don't get that same thing with a Marco Polo or something like that in Southeast Asia. Is it because of the experience? I know you connect with the people up north too. You have such great friends in the guide outfitting community and outside there too, but certainly the guide outfitting community.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question because there's some beautiful high mountains everywhere, right? Yeah. I was fortunate, I don't know, whatever it was, 5 or 6 years ago to spend 25 days or something in Mongolia with a client, and it's amazing. The people are amazing, and I'd like to go back, but that's probably where that big gray sheep thing, I'm 50-50
right
to go do something else. But in the people, like I said, I have great friends and, scattered up through. I mean, the last time I hunted sheep for myself was 2019 in the Yukon, and my hunting buddy from Savannah, Georgia flew out, and I picked him up part way, and then we drove all the way. I mean, it's 39 and a half hours from Dawson City to my doorstep.
Wow.
So I, a couple previous guys that had guided me before that live in northern Alberta, I spent the night with them and, had some rye whiskey, I guess as you guys call it, and maybe some good Alberta beef on the barbecue that night. But, yeah, the people and the places, I think that's what's important to me for a sheep hunt or any kind of hunt.
Yeah, right on. So with Bailey and Landrus, so let's talk a little bit about that before we wrap up. What do you guys got on the books? You got any hunts booked out this year? What's going on? You waiting for some draws?
Yeah, we tonight our auction tag sells.
Right.
Our focus, just because of the permitting system, the outfitting permitting system in Washington is not very outfitter friendly.
Okay.
So our primary target is our auction hunter, which is for California bighorns, and then our state does have 3 or 4 different raffle tags. Some are statewide, some unit specific, and so. Yeah, we find some folks that are looking for beautiful big California bighorn sheep, and go get in this raffle or our Rocky raffle as well. So that's kind of our business model. And then Brian gets to do all the fun international travel because I'm stuck at school or on a Zoom with you for a wild sheep board.
So the system works a little bit different in Canada. Like there's guide outfitting 10 years in BC, in Alberta, but you guys can, like, you were looking at other states and stuff like that too. You can guide other places, right?
Yeah, in Washington, and it really depends. In other states, it depends on the land ownership. There's in every state's a little bit different. We have some areas in Washington State that are exclusive guide use areas, like you have in BC.
Right.
We don't have one of those areas, and really probably don't need one for where we want to hunt.
Right.
So the permitting system is, we can get apply for special use permits, etc. So, but we've, one of our good hunters, Alan Smith, you guys have had on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he bought Washington auction permit, I don't know, 4 years ago or something like that, and then a couple years later he bought Oregon. So we just went with him. Sheep Mountain Outfitters conducted that hunt, but we're all good friends and
awesome.
And we just went along. So yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So to wrap up, I came by the booth here. We were in the membership meeting, and were you here when Cammy Cunningham's dad came by?
Yes.
So I guess they've been listening to the podcast. So tonight, Legacy Night, we're showing a film. Cammy Cunningham is 13, and she completed her FNAWS. So 13-year-old girl, youngest girl ever to complete FNAWS. From what I understand, she actually had 3 of the sheep at 10, and then COVID messed it up. So she ended up having to wait 3 years. She would have had her FNAWS at 10 or 11. I don't know the exact numbers, but 2-3 years earlier. Anyway, I guess they listen to the podcast, or at least her dad does, it sounds like. And so it sounds like we might be able to get Cammy on the podcast here. And so we're going to see her film tonight. She was at the RAM Awards yesterday. We all seen her get an award there. and just a crazy. I'm not going to ruin it. We're going to listen to her tell the story, but pretty excited about it. So, that's what the Wild Sheep Foundation does. It celebrates people like that, brings us together. We wouldn't hear this story if we didn't have Sheep Week, right? So it's pretty cool that we're all here and able to do this sort of thing. And, just gets me up in the morning, that's for sure, Glenn. So.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. I didn't know. I mean, I saw some of the pictures at the awards yesterday, and obviously this young lady's been getting after it. So
yeah,
that's exciting that she's going to have a video.
Well, and I know with Women Hunt, Renee I think she's on Renee's panel for Women Hunt for Sheep Week, and doing some work with them too. So just, that's new hunter recruitment, man, and hitting that, we talked about Women Hunt before on the podcast and stuff. So pretty cool, and just all the way around, it's just a great story. So pretty excited. So future podcasts we'll have to listen out for Cami. But anyway, Glenn, appreciate all you do. Excited to continue to serve with you, and just appreciate all your leadership. Any parting words for Sheep Week or our members out there?
Well, I mean, just thank you, I guess. When this drops, Sheep Week will be in a rearview mirror. But as I said, it's not the end, it's the beginning of what we need to do. And I mean, again, I want to say how much I appreciate what Wild Sheep Society of BC is doing. And I mean, you guys are just ramping up and getting after it. And I love the pressure it puts on us. Right. And other chapter and affiliates as well. I mean, we're going to have our spring transition meeting is going to be in Boise in conjunction with the Idaho Wild Sheep Foundation banquet. I've been going to that one for 20 years off and on. And what that banquet has done in the last 5 years and what they're doing, raising money, and what they're doing on the ground is inspiring to all of us. But so lots of those positive examples out there, and we're going to come out of Sheep Week, I think, with a lot of motivation, and we're going to have a chance to meet face to face and rekindle those friendships and meet some new folks that we can collaborate with and do epic shit.
Absolutely.
Can't say anything more than that. We'll end it there. Well done.
Awesome.